CEO Toan holds a family meeting to introduce Tu Diem and faces his mother's tense reaction. The living room was filled with the heavy silence of anticipation. Tu Diem sat quietly, her hands trembling slightly, while Toan's firm gaze never left her side. This was the moment he had been waiting for, the moment to officially introduce the woman who saved his life, the woman he loved, to his family. But across the table, his mother's expression was cold, her eyes sharp with unspoken disapproval. Every word, every glance was a test, as if she was weighing Tu Diem's worth against the pride of the family name. Yet behind that stern face, was there perhaps a flicker of hesitation, even a trace of hidden softness? Is CEO Toan's mother truly as unyielding as she seems, or is her heart slowly, reluctantly, beginning to accept Ly Tu Diem? The evening air was heavy with anticipation inside the elegant family home. CEO Toan, usually calm and decisive in the boardroom, found his heart beating faster than usual. Tonight was different. Tonight was not about contracts, profits, or strategy. It was about family, and about the woman he had chosen.
Toan looked at Tu Diem sitting quietly beside him. Her hands trembled slightly in her lap, though she tried to hide it. Her eyes carried both fear and hope, knowing this meeting could decide her future with him. He reached out under the table, gently holding her hand, a silent promise of protection.
When Toan's mother entered the room, the atmosphere shifted instantly. Madame Tu, a strong and proud woman, had always carried the weight of family honor on her shoulders. She took her seat at the head of the table, her sharp gaze moving between her son and the unfamiliar young woman. "Toan," she began, her voice calm but heavy with tension. "You said you had something important to share with the family." Toan straightened his posture, his determination clear. "Mother, this is Ly Tu Diem. She is the woman who saved my life. More than that, she is the woman I love. I want everyone to know her, not as a stranger, but as part of this family." A silence fell. The relatives exchanged glances, some surprised, some curious. Tu Diem bowed her head respectfully, whispering a soft greeting. But Toan's mother did not respond immediately. Her eyes narrowed, her lips pressed tightly together, and the tension in the room grew heavier. "Love," Madame Tu repeated slowly. "You speak of love, Toan, but do you understand the responsibility you carry? Do you think our family can accept a girl with such a troubled past?" Her words were sharp, and Tu Diem's face paled. Toan did not falter. His voice was steady, filled with conviction. "I know her past, Mother. I also know her heart. She has suffered, but she has never given up. She stood by me when I was lost. I cannot and will not abandon her now." The clash of wills was evident. A mother's protective pride against a son's unwavering devotion. For a long moment, the only sound was the ticking of the antique clock on the wall. Then, unexpectedly, the sternness in Madame Tu's eyes softened. She looked at Tu Diem again, this time not as a threat, but as a woman standing beside her son with quiet dignity. Perhaps it was the way Tu Diem's hands folded humbly in her lap, or the courage it took for her to sit under such scrutiny. Whatever it was, a crack appeared in the mother's wall of resistance. "Stay," Madame Tu said at last, her voice gentler, though still guarded. "Let us see, over time, if you truly belong here." Tu Diem's eyes filled with tears, and Toan's hand tightened around hers with silent triumph. The battle was not over, but a door had opened. The family meeting had begun with tension, but ended with a fragile seed of acceptance. The days that followed the tense family meeting were not easy for Tu Diem, though Madame Tu had allowed her to stay. The older woman's eyes were always sharp, watching every gesture and every word. It was as if Tu Diem was being tested, and she knew any mistake could push her further away from acceptance. But instead of retreating, Tu Diem chose to quietly show her sincerity. She woke early each morning to help prepare breakfast, even when the household staff insisted they could handle it. She sat with Toan's grandmother, listening patiently to old stories, her soft laughter filling the house with warmth. And when Toan returned late from work, exhausted from endless meetings, Tu Diem was always there bringing him tea, listening to his worries, and reminding him that he was not alone. Madame Tu noticed all of this, though she never admitted it aloud. One evening, as she passed the living room, she saw Tu Diem carefully massaging the grandmother's tired hands. The old woman smiled, whispering, "This girl has a good heart. Toan is lucky." For the first time, Madame Tu felt her resistance weaken. Still, doubt lingered. At dinner, she decided to test Tu Diem openly. "Diem," she said suddenly, her voice calm but firm, "tell me, what do you truly want from my son? His wealth, his position, or something else?" The table grew silent. Toan looked ready to defend her, but Tu Diem raised her eyes and spoke softly, yet clearly. "Madam, I want none of those things. I only want to walk beside him, to share both hardships and happiness. When I met him, I did not know he was a CEO. I only knew he was a man in pain, and I could not leave him alone. That is all." Her honesty struck the room like a gentle storm. Even Madame Tu was left speechless for a moment. She had expected fear, or a carefully rehearsed answer. Instead, she heard truth raw and humble. That night, when Toan walked his mother to her room, she did not scold him as before. She only said quietly, "Your Diem, she is different. Perhaps I judged too quickly." Days turned into weeks, and the fragile peace inside the Toan household slowly began to grow stronger. Tu Diem continued her quiet efforts, never once complaining, never once overstepping. Her humility and kindness began to leave small but undeniable marks on the family. One afternoon, while Toan was at the company handling a tense negotiation, a sudden storm swept through the city. Power flickered, the wind howled against the windows, and Madame Tu felt an ache in her chest that made her stagger. The staff panicked, unsure of what to do, but Tu Diem rushed forward without hesitation. She supported Madame Tu to her room, fetched her medicine, and stayed by her side through the long stormy night. When the rain pounded harder, and the lightning flashed through the sky, Tu Diem sat beside the older woman, holding her hand to keep her calm. When Toan rushed home later that night, worried after hearing the news, he was stunned to find his mother resting peacefully, with Tu Diem still sitting faithfully at her bedside, refusing to sleep. The next morning, Madame Tu looked at her son, and then at Tu Diem. Her voice was softer than ever before. "Last night, she never left my side, Toan. Maybe I was wrong to doubt her." Toan's heart swelled with relief, but he said nothing. He knew his mother's pride. Instead, he only squeezed Tu Diem's hand, silently thanking her. Later that week, Madame Tu surprised everyone. At the family dinner table, with relatives gathered, she spoke clearly. "This is Ly Tu Diem. She is the one who saved my son's life, and she has already proven her heart to this family. From today, she is not an outsider. She is one of us." Gasps and murmurs filled the room, but Toan's eyes glistened with pride. Tu Diem, overwhelmed, lowered her head, fighting back tears. The battle that began with tension had finally turned into acceptance. Yet, deep in her heart, Tu Diem wondered, was this acceptance unconditional, or would new trials come to test her place in Toan's world? Peace in the family did not last long. Just as Tu Diem was beginning to feel accepted, whispers began spreading beyond the walls of the Toan household. One morning, while Toan was at the company, Madame Tu received an unexpected visitor. It was an old acquaintance from the countryside, someone who knew fragments of Tu Diem's past. With a sharp tongue and cruel delight, the woman hinted at debts, family scandals, and the rumors that had once threatened to ruin Tu Diem's life. When Tu Diem entered the room, carrying tea, the woman smirked and said, "So this is the girl. The one everyone said ran away from her husband's family. You let someone like her into your home." The words pierced the air like a blade. For a moment, the silence was unbearable. Tu Diem froze, her cheeks burning with shame. The past she wanted so desperately to leave behind had returned to haunt her. But before she could speak, Madame Tu stood. Her voice, once cold toward Tu Diem, rang with authority. Enough. Whatever her past may be, it is no concern of yours. In this house, she is under my protection. If anyone dares to shame her again, they will answer to me. The visitor, stunned, left in embarrassment. Tu Diem's eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow, but of disbelief. The very woman who had once doubted her, now stood as her shield. That evening, when Toan returned, his mother recounted everything. He looked at Tu Diem with pride, but also with determination. They will not stop, Diem. The more they see you close to me, the more they will try to break you. But I promise, no matter what comes, I will never let them win. Tu Diem's voice trembled, but her resolve grew stronger. I am not afraid anymore, because this time, I am not alone. For the first time, they were no longer just fighting for love, they were fighting for honor, for acceptance, and for a future that could withstand every storm. The story of Toan and Tu Diem is not only a tale of love, but also a reminder of the power of patience, sincerity, and courage. At first, Tu Diem faced rejection and judgment from those around her. Her past was used against her, and even within Toan's own family, she was treated with suspicion. In such moments, many people would choose to walk away, believing acceptance to be impossible. But Tu Diem did not give up. She chose to stay, to live with honesty, and to let her actions speak louder than her words. Through her quiet kindness, caring for the grandmother, helping with small tasks, staying by Madame Tu's side in a stormy night, she slowly softened hearts that once seemed unmovable. The lesson here is clear. True acceptance cannot be demanded. It must be earned through consistency, compassion, and sincerity. At the same time, Toan's role shows us the importance of loyalty. In love and in life, there will always be trials, rumors, and people who try to destroy what we value most. But when we stand firm, protect the ones we love, and refuse to let prejudice dictate our choices, we build relationships that can endure hardship. Finally, Madame Tu's gradual change reminds us that even the most rigid hearts can open. People are not immovable, they can grow, they can learn, and they can see the truth when given time and proof. The story teaches us that love is not simply about emotions. It is about trust, sacrifice, and resilience. True love is tested not in moments of comfort, but in times of challenge. And when it survives those tests, it becomes unshakable.